Charlie could see that Yue Sheng's thinking at this time was chaotic. Someone must have repeatedly instilled this kind of psychological suggestion that she is dirty and that she should die. Over time, she herself will firmly believe that she is dirty and deserves to die. This kind of psychological suggestion needs at least half a year to deepen, ferment, and breed continuously. In other words, that scumbag had brainwashed her for at least half a year in order to let her die. So Charlie immediately thought that there is also a powerful psychological hypnosis technique in the 9 profound heaven scriptures, so he gathered some spiritual energy in his body into his fingertips, lightly nodded Yue Sheng's forehead, and said, "Yue Sheng, look, follow me." Yue Sheng immediately looked up at him as if being cursed. Charlie asked, "Tell me, what is going on?" Yue Sheng said dumbly, "I talked to a boyfriend when I was a freshman and gave him my body on impulse. Then I met Wu Qi. He has been pursuing me. I also like him very much, but he knows me. After the first time, I was very disgusted with me. Every time he had a relationship with me, he would beat me, scold me, call me dirty, say he is sorry for me." Charlie nodded, and said in a supremely majestic tone, "Yue Sheng, what I will say next, you have to keep in your mind for a lifetime. Until you die in the future, you can't forget it, you can do it?" Yue Sheng had been hypnotized by Charlie at this time. Charlie's hypnotism is assisted by spiritual energy, and the hypnosis intensity far exceeds the psychological hint that the scumbag gave her, so she hurriedly nodded respectfully and said, "You can give me your orders, Yue Sheng must go all out." Charlie said word by word, "Remember, you just did what most couples in the world would do. This is your own choice. It has nothing to do with filth, and your life is the most precious in the world. Not only belongs to you but also belongs to your parents and everyone who truly loves you. The person who truly loves you will never persuade you to give up your life, so you must cherish your life in the future, stay away from scumbags, and be filial to your parents and contribute to society, understand?" If the psychological suggestion of the scumbag is a stream, then Charlie's hypnosis is the whole sea. In an instant, he completely defeated the psychological hint that the scumbag gave to Yue Sheng. But at this moment, in Yue Sheng's heart, Charlie's words already stood there like a beacon of life, and they would never disappear in her entire life. Suddenly she had an epiphany at this time, and realized how stupid she was before. Thinking that she was almost bewitched by a scumbag to commit suicide, she was so frightened, she immediately knelt on the ground, bowed her head to Charlie, and said, "Thank you for saving me. I will live well in the future, and will never disappoint my parents and society for their cultivation." Charlie nodded in satisfaction and said, "Since you can wake up to your senses, then I wish you a happy and fulfilling life in the future." With that said, Charlie thought of the scumbag and asked, "Can you tell me about your boyfriend?" Yue Sheng said bitterly, "From now on, he is not my boyfriend. This kind of person will only make me feel sick." After that, she respectfully said to Charlie, "The scumbag is called Wu Qi, and he is the school grass of our Orus Hill School of Finance and Economics. He is not a local, but it is said that his family is very good. I was also deceived by Lard at the time. I always think he is the perfect object. I didn't expect him to be such a despicable villain." Charlie nodded and said, "I heard he killed many girls?" Yue Sheng nodded repeatedly. "I don't know how many girls he has played with. I'm just one of them." Charlie gave a hum, and said, "In this way, call him and say that before dying, there is a gift you want to give him, so that he can come here now." Yue Sheng asked hurriedly, "What if he doesn't want to come over?" Charlie said, "If he doesn't want to come, then you tell him, you have to break up with him, and from now on, the well water will not be offended by the river. This kind of rubbish wants to force you to commit suicide and regard your suicide as your greatest achievement. If he hears that you are going to break up with him, it must be a great blow to him. Such scumbags take pleasure in being able to control women, but if women get out of control, it will be a huge pain and shock to them. They regard this kind of thing as a war. There is only one victor in the war. If the victor is not themselves, the label of the loser will be put on their heads. For these people, failure is beyond their tolerance. At this moment, in a bar near Aarhus Hill University of Finance and Economics, Wu Qi was sitting opposite a beautiful girl, and said with a smile, "Beauty, God is really unfair to me. I come here alone every day. Drinking 2 drinks at the bar, I saw you for the first time today, and it instantly made me feel that I had lived for nothing in the past 20 years. The girl smiled a little embarrassedly. "You are pretty good. Do you talk to girls less often?" Wu Qi shook his head repeatedly, and said solemnly, "I am actually quite shy and don't dare to talk to girls, but the feeling you give me is so special." I hesitated and struggled for a long time by myself before finally deciding to come over and say hello to you. With that said, Wu Qi deliberately exposed the Vacheron Constantin watch on his wrist. This watch, worth more than 7 million, is an extremely rare limited edition. But to Wu Qi, this kind of watch is nothing at all. There are several more expensive watches in his family, each worth tens of millions. The girl recognized this piece of Vacheron Constantin at a glance, was surprised for a moment, and hurriedly pretended not to see it, and said with a grin, "Since we are so destined, why not drink 2 glasses together?" Wu Qi smiled slightly and said, "I will invite you tonight." After speaking, he immediately beckoned and said to the waiter, "Here, the 2 best Ace of Spades champagne." Ace of Spades sells for more than 20,000 in the bar, which can be said to be the most expensive champagne.